Guten Tag, alles.
Welcome my viewers to another racket review. Today we'll feature the full racket showdown of the Babolat 98 range. We're going to have the second generation and the third generation.
The only uniqueness of the second generation racket is it was a 16-20 string pad.
But as always, here's some tips from Coach Blake.
Yep.
There's no point going spinny and looping out to the middle. Because a good player will open and split back.
Yeah.
See, that was a nice shot because you had to fight over the net, you had to spin.
Yep.
No open the quarter. There we go.
First up, we'll be hitting with the Pure Strike Tour. As you can see, this is the third generation one that was released in 2019. Now, the Pure Strike Tour is a very solid and stable racket. Enables an ease of plow through, and you get a good depth on ground strokes.
Hey, you can get that, you can get that. Push stuff. Ah!
The strikes are generally quite stiff, but it's not as much as the Radicals and some other rackets. However, you have to string a lot more loosely. The power and feel of this racket has some similar results to the head speeds, but it yields a different ball. Now, it produces a more spin-like ball, however it's not really a spin frame. Now, the Tour is generally okay for net play, and it's adequate on volleys, but I didn't feel it, for me, it won overall on volleys. In fact, I think it was middle of the road when it came to some of the other rackets so far. Currently, the hot days sit in the low 30s. In fact, there's been very few days recently that it hasn't been below 30 or 31. During this, it was actually 33 to 34 degrees. But we play, and you do what you can. You gotta fight. What I liked about the strikes is both on the forehand and the backhand. It felt like you could go full force and swings, and with the extra mass of the Tour and 98 frame, you would yield a heavy ball, but with shape and control. The heavy ball that is induced is what I like most about it.
Good get, great get. Good work, get ready. Make it.
The Pure Strike VS second generation. This racket was built in 2017.
Oh, wow.
This is a racket I've never seen used by anyone ever, and you will come to somewhat understand maybe why this is the case a bit later. Stuart joins us for the first time. Now, Stuart is a French hitter, player who I've had numerous close and quality sets with. He's trained in his younger years in France, and you will notice he has a French-like touch. He enjoys touch shots, and I find he's down the line backhand good. He's using the 1820 Babolat Pure Strike here. It's his racket. The Stewart uses the 1820 with Babolat RPM blast strings. I've hit with his racket before, and it was a slightly better version than this 1820 I'm demoing with here. The issue is with nearly every racket firm, and this includes Babolat, especially in some cases, that unless you have the pro stock or demand somehow to have the rackets weighted to specification, you can have stupid variances, and swing weight can actually change quite immensely. Now, I will say with strings that the RPM blast does play better in the strike, even though Silinko is still kind of playable, but I am somewhat going away from Silinko. Now, to continue on a note from earlier, it's quite ridiculous to how inaccurate stock rackets have become. It should be that what you buy is to the nearest gram of what you want, especially given these exorbitant prices that we're seeing right now. I think it's actually quite deceitful, price gouging and profiteering. And this is what not always was the case. It was not long ago, in fact, that all head rackets, like Fischer rackets, were made in Europa. For me, in its current stock form, this is where the 18x20 shine. Here I was using the Pure Strike VS once again. Now, despite my objections to it on the forehands, you can gain an ease of power given its lightness. It's similar to a Pure Drive, but it doesn't have the plow-through feel or solid shot making in really any way. This is what really put me off this racket. Just a note here, the Pure Strike VS really was quite flimsy on volley. I think it was the worst on slices.
Great job.
Once again, Alex appears. For those wondering, the Pure Strike VS second generation is not the same as the third generation VS. The third generation VS is a 97 square inch and it's a far superior racket. Now, the second generation Dominic team never used and barely received much support from anyone. I've seen numerous players use the first generation. The second generation is where they seem to have gone wrong. Now, the VS is where they really went wrong in that second generation. It feels light, it's flimsy, it's a real Kmart retail racket feel to it. The only thing going for this racket is a 16 by 20 string pattern, but if you're into this, you're going to need to increase the weight on this racket. The only weakness on the tour is the slices, but it was not in a compromising way. Net play was adequate, but not the best. It's a racket that more suits my game, actually, than any of the three, and I liked it especially from the baseline. And what surprised me is how it is easily usable for both one- and two-handed backhand. But on the serve, it's very good, very adequate. Sadly though, it's a racket which has induced injury in my arm and fingernail, so I will not recommend it, but if you are injury free and string this loosely with the right string and you like this racket, you'll have a great racket. And now to serving with the 1820. Here Michael joins us for the first time, who has a compact-like shots on the backhand and uses the Babolat Pure Aero, which he's likely to stay with forever.
I'm serving much different with this already.
This is a racket that has potential in many ways, and it yields precision, should you have at least good developed strokes. Now the 1820 is a racket that I have actually tried in the past. I've demoed twice before. I was always interested in this and wanted to take it for a proper demo. Now the 1820 is a bit more demanding because it actually enacts less variance in the shot. The whole point with an 1820 string pattern is to induce less variability in the motion of the ball on it. So you've got more strings, more rows and columns. Both you want to enact more of the strings on the ball, and after the impact you get a bit more precise result. Now you're going to get less free spin, free. However, if you have the basic topspin technique, you're going to enact exactly your technique with little assistance. Despite its good volleys, reasonable slices, and good serving, it was less than the tour on ground strokes, and it did not produce as great backhands as I expected. It was a bit of a disappointment, and if the strikes did not inflame the arm and finger issues in myself, I would have actually weighted up this racket and given it a chance in the playoffs again. I will note here, it is great that Babolat have a control rate, even if it's not like the Wilson Pro Staffs or 95s or Head Prestiges. You could compare the strike somewhat to V-Call. Overall, I found that the tour suited me quite well. The 1820 could be greater overall, but was a bit disappointed. However, if I could hit with a strike, it would be up there in the final list.
Ah, 40-30. Hey!
Now it's review time, where the group winner will be determined.